Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Chair.
Thank you. Are you ready?
We are indeed, Chair.
Yes.
Chair, may Mr. William Majila be sworn in?
Thank you. Please administer the oath or affirmation.
Please state your full names for the record.
William Molefe Machila.
Do you have any objections to taking the prescribed oath?
No.
Do you consider the oath to be binding on your conscience?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear that all the evidence that you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Chair will note that
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The Chair will note that there's Mr. Mnisi right next to Mr. Majila. Mr. Majila had requested for translator in Setswana in his home language. Chair, we have a document, an oath of office for the interpreter, and I beg leave to hand that up.
Yes, let me see it. I see that this oath relates to him performing his work in the magistrate's courts. I think we must just do the oath. Mr. Mnisi, please stand up. What is Mr. Machila's language? Is it Setswana? Setswana.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Mr. Mnisi, I'm just going to ask you a few questions before we do the oath. Okay. What are your full names? I see here it simply gives initials SD Mnisi.
Stanley Dumsane Mnisi, Chairperson.
Are you proficient in the Setswana language and English language, and you are able to translate from Setswana to English and from English to Setswana?
Yes, Chairperson.
And how long have you been doing that?
I'm now in the department for 32 years.
For? 32 years. And you have been interpreting from, among other languages, Setswana to English and from English to Setswana.
Correct, so, Chairperson.
Yes, okay, all right. Let us do the oath. Then I'm going to administer the oath to you. Mr. Stanley Dumisani Mnisi, do you swear that you are proficient in Setswana and English, and that you are able to translate from Setswana to English and from English to Setswana, and that you have done so for many years in the magistrates' courts in South Africa, and you have no objection to taking the oath? If your answer is yes to all of this, please say yes and raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
Indeed so, yes. So help me God.
Thank you. You are duly sworn in. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. The exhibits that we will be referencing to, Chair, is Exhibit FF1,
Yes.
FF4,
Yes.
and FF6.
Yeah, thank you.
From the onset, we'll be dealing with FF6, Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Majila's confirmatory affidavit is labeled Exhibit FF 6.3, which starts on paginated page 11. Mr. Majila, are you there?
Mo letlapeng la bolesome le motso o le mong.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Mr. Majila, is that your confirmatory affidavit you see in front of you?
Ke
Yes,
nnete gore ke yona bopaki ba gago kampo yona affidavit e o ileng wa e dira.
yes, ma'am.
Indeed
One
so.
second. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Majila, is that your signature at the bottom of page 11?
Ke mokwalo wa gago o fo tlase kapo signature ya gago e leng mo letlapeng la bolesome le motso o le mong.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, indeed.
And if you turn to the next page on page 12,
Ga o phetla mo letlapeng le le latelang letlapi la bosome le metso e mebedi.
is that your signature in the middle of the page?
Ke wena o ileng wa signa ke mokwalo wa gago o mo magareng ga letlapi.
Yes,
That is true.
And you deposed to this affidavit on the 26th of June 2019.
Affidavit e entswe ka di 26 June 2019.
yes, yes.
Yes, Chairperson.
Mr. Majila, are you satisfied with the contents of this confirmatory affidavit?
O khotsofatswa ke diteng tsa affidavit e o e dirileng kapo seo se ngwetsweng fo go yona.
Yes, yes.
And
Yes.
and the contents are true and correct?
Le gore diteng tse ke nnete ke seo o se itseng ebile ke ka moo go diragetseng.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Majila, where are you currently employed?
Mo sebakeng
mo-
se o dira kae?
It's a state visit protocol, DIRCO.
State Visit Protocol DIRCO.
And what are your functions?
Ditiro tsa gago foo ke eng?
Ke sebetsa ka di plane. tsa di-president
I'm dealing with the president's planes
and the ministers.
and the ministers.
Sorry, Mr. Majila, could you just talk up a little bit louder?
Well,
And president, ministers, and deputy presidents.
Presidents, ministers, and deputy presidents.
Ge di tla mo South Africa, di romela request mo DIRCO attention to Majina.
When they are to come and land in South Africa, they will send a request to DECO addressed attention, Mr. Machila.
Through note verbal, note verbal,
Ka-
note verbal.
By means of a not verbal.
Mr. Majila, you have submitted documents that you work with at DIRCO in terms of the nonverbal. If I may, Chair, refer you to the annexures that Mr. Majila has brought forth. Can I bring your attention to page 16 of Mr. Majila's document?
Well, tell me what exhibit is. I don't know Mr. Majila's documents.
It's exhibit, apologies, Chair. It's exhibit FF 6.3.
FF6, did you say .3?
Point 3. So it's under exhibit FF6, and it's the last,
Yeah, the exhibit is FF6.
yes,
And then you want me to go to divider number 3.
yes, Chair.
Yeah.
Thank
If you say exhibit FF6.3, I won't find that exhibit. It's exhibit FF6 and must go under the divider number 3.
Indeed so, Chair.
Okay, or you tell me what the page is of that exhibit.
It's 16,
Yes.
Chair.
Okay, I've got his affidavit, but his affidavit just refers to the report.
Yes,
doesn't,
apologies, Chair. If I may just go back to the affidavit, apologies for that. Mr. Majila, in your affidavit, if I could take you to the second paragraph of your confirmatory affidavit, that would be on page 11.
Mo affidavit-ing ya gago a go ise go paragraph ya bobedi mo go letlaping la bolesome le motso o le mong.
Yes,
bona?
yes,
Yes, I see that.
yes.
You state that the contents in the cluster report issued after the subsequent landing of the aircraft compiled that all the contents in that document that relates to you is true and correct.
O tlhalosa fao gore ge diteng tseo di leng teng mo go pegong ya clustera dilo tseo kaofela di leng fao kaofela di bontsha di le nnete ebile di kgotsofatsa.
Tse di mo leineng la ka.
Yes, the ones that were on my name.
The paragraphs that I would also like to bring to the Chair's attention is in Exhibit FF1, that would be the statement of Ms. Ndani. An attachment under the second folder,
What?
FF1, Mr. Majid.
FF1.
Or
The report starts at page 5 of exhibit FF1.
Yes, Chair. I think Mr. Majila might just be slightly lost. Mr. Majila, you will find that
Have you not shown him which one is FF1, which one is FF6?
we have indeed. The folder that's right there. If I could just ask my colleague, Ms. Rangata, just
Look
to assist.
outside, look on the cover page to see what exhibit
Oh,
it
it's
is.
this one.
got
Yes,
Okay.
yes. FF.
Okay, well, maybe you go and show him each one of the exhibits so that we don't waste time as we go on.
Okay.
Show him which one is Exhibit FF4, Exhibit FF5, Exhibit FF6, Exhibit FF1, so that
Okay.
he won't be confused.
Okay. Okay, so FF1 ke sheba mo, FF6 ke sheba mo. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay.
If it,
Yeah, ke fitlhetse.
yes, I've got it, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair, for your indulgence. Mr. Majula,
Yes, ma'am.
and Chair, if I could just bring your attention to page 12 of that document.
Tlapila bolesome, le mos- le
Yes.
mebedi.
Mr. Majula, you are mentioned in paragraphs 2.1.18, 2.1.19,
Yes,
and 2.120
yes.
in those documents. Have you read the contents of those documents?
O ile wa dira diteng tsa letlhapi leo kapo lengwalo leo?
Yes,
Yes.
And you confirm the correctness of it?
O dumelana le boleng le bonnete ba tsona?
yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Chair, I'm not particularly sure if, because this document has been led in evidence yesterday, if you want us to either, under your approval, to either read it on record or just give a short synopsis of what is contained in these paragraphs.
Maybe let's do it this way. Mr. Machila, your role in this whole incident seems to have been a limited one, is that correct?
Go bonagala e le gore wena karolo e o ileng wa e tsaya mo tabeng e kaofela e ne e le karolo nyana e seng kalo go le go ka.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Can
Chairperson.
can you just tell me what your role was in this incident which led to the landing of a commercial aircraft at Waterkloof?
O ka re tlhalosetsa karolo e wena o ileng wa e tsaya mabapi le go tlo kotameng ga sefofane se mo Waterkloof a base. Yeah.
Ke ne ke le ko ofising. Ke kra mohala or a phone from Ambassador Kolwane.
I was in the office, Your Worship, when I received a call from Ambassador Kolwane.
Okay, before you proceed, let me ask this. At the time of this incident, what position did you hold then?
Ka nako ya tiragalo e wena o ne o tshwere maemo afe mo tirong ya gago?
Foreign Affairs Assistant, yona ke tshwere ngwana yana.
Foreign Affairs Assistant, Your Worship, which I'm currently holding.
You are still holding the same position.
O sampane o tshwere yona position eo.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
What were your duties in that position which may be relevant to this incident?
Ditiro tsa gago e ne e le eng ka nako eo ge mo e leng gore ge e ka golaganywa le tiragalo e ya gone jaanong?
No, niki etsa mosebetsi o ko etsang every day ko officing. Yes.
I was performing my daily duties, Your Worship, which I was supposed to at the office.
Yeah, what were the main functions attached to the position you held?
Ya ke tiro di feng tseo e leng gore ke tsona ne o di dira mo kantorong ya gago?
No, ke thusa o ira di passport,
Assisting in making passports,
note verbals
note verbals
for department and the presidency.
for the other departments, Your Worship, and the Presidency's department, Your Worship.
So part of your duty was to prepare note verbals.
Yes.
Di tse ding tsa ditiro tsa ne ile go dira tsona di note verbals?
Yes.
Yes.
And what were the circumstances under which you were required to prepare note verbals?
Khanti mabaka au a neng a tshwanetse gore ebe ona a go lailang gore mtlhomong o dire tsona di note verbals tseo ine e le eng?
No, di note verbals ke tsaya department e ba kopa thuso ho ya go di embassy tse ding like e ba batla visa.
The note verbals, Your Worship, are when other departments are asking for assistance, ba batla go etsa- go
Ba etsa
dira-
di visa
or when they were actually asking to make some visas, Your Worship.
What was your role in that connected you to note verbals?
Wena tiro ya gago mo tirong eo ya di note verbals ne ile gore o dire eng?
di note verbals tsa bothata bo or tsa tse ke di etsang.
In connection with this issue or
No, generally speaking.
no, re bua ra akaretsa.
No, ke thusa like the note verbal from if a presidential medical unit ba kopa note verbal.
I assist with the note verbals, like if the presidential medical issues, Your Worship, are asking for the note verbals.
It's a note verbal and then ke a ba fa ba ya go embassy or ba yo kry visa.
I'll then prepare the note verbal, hand it over to them, baya ko kae?
Go the embassies go batla di visa.
And they will take them to the embassies, Your Worship, in order to get the visas, Your Worship.
Was Mr. Kolwane your immediate superior?
Ikaba morena Kolwane ine ile o mogolo mo fo go wena ka nako eo?
Mr. Kola ko mogolo mona.
Yes, Mr. Kolwane was my superior at that point in time.
Yes, no, thank you. Now you can go back to telling me what your role was in regard to this incident.
Ya, jaanong ge o ka re tlhalosetsa gore wena se o se dirileng ine ile eng mabapi le ketsagalo e.
Okay.
Sorry, I've just received word from the technicians. Mr. Majida, can you just move the mic towards you?
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Ke fumane a phone ho tswa ho Ambassador Kolwane.
I received a call from Ambassador Kulwane
Ho thusa Indian delegation ka overflight clearance.
to ask the Indian delegation about the overflight clearance.
I'm sorry, just start again. I missed something in that sentence.
No, in
Or o thotse mogala go tswa-
mohala ho tswa phone ho tswa ko Ambassador Kolwane
I received a call from Ambassador Kulwane
to assist the Indian with their clearance.
to assist the Indian with the clearance.
A few minutes,
Is that the Indian government or?
How re Indian utsho gore ge puso ya ko India kampo?
yes,
Yes, Chairperson.
Yes, okay, continue.
And then morago
ka fetsa hua le Ambassador Kolwane for more.
I then finished speaking to Mr. Kulwane for that specific point in time.
Do you remember on what date that was when you got this instruction from
O
him?
gopola letsatsi gore e ne e le tsatsi mang ha o ne o fitlhela mogala o?
Or date access for a pillar for now.
No, I'm not quite certain, Your Worship, about the date.
Okay, well, the incident happened in, the landing of the aircraft happened on the 30th of April 2013, and it appears that the discussions and preparations started happening early, or may have started early in April. But if you do wish to refresh your memory, if there's a document where you know you can see
Oh, yes.
the date, feel free to have a look.
Okay,
Ba re go kotamaga sefofane e ne le di 30 April 2013 seo se tlhalosang gore kopo kapo tsamaiso kaofela e etsagetse go sa le gale mo kgweding ya April empa fela go na le lekwalo kapo letlapi mo o ka kgonang go ikgakolosa gore e ne e le tsatsi mang ga o fitlhela mogala o.
E ne e le ka di 9 April.
It was on the 9th of April.
Okay, so the instruction that Mr. Kolwane gave you was to assist with the clearance for the Indian government.
Ka mantswe a mang, taelo o e fitlhetseng go Morena Lekolwane ko gore o thuse puso ya kwa India ka go ba fa tetla kapo clearance ya gore ba tlo tsepama fa.
Yes.
Yes.
What did you understand that to entail, that instruction to entail? If he says, please assist with the clearance for the Indian government, what
Wena
did you
o-
understand that to require you to do?
Wena ka ga mo o tlhalogantseng ka teng o ile wa tlhaloganya gore ke eng ba tlhoka gore ba fitlhele thuso e tshwanang le eo go tswa ko pusong ya India.
Ambassador ka ele o mogolo monna. Bana lo kry-a mangwalo note verbal direct.
Seeing that the ambassador is senior to me, they are actually used to receive some non-verbals.
Non-verbal.
Yes, and then if I'm Fiona to process the clearance.
And then he will then hand it over to me to process for the clearance.
So ne
Okay,
ke nahana hore le-
I'm sorry, let me get that
Okay.
sentence correctly. What is it that you would give to you? Is that the note verbal?
King fang yona ke note verbal.
ba tshwanetse go mfa note verbal.
Yeah, they are supposed to give me the note verbal.
And what would you do with a note verbal?
Wena ge o tla dira eng ka note verbal eo?
Ke checka note verbal gore e na le information e otlhe e re needang.
I'll check if the said note verbal contains all the information that we need.
Mo note verbaling ba tshwanetse go ngwala gore visit ke ho tla mang.
In the note verbal, they must specify your ship, who is coming to visit,
O tlo o dirang mo South Africa of purpose ya visit.
what is the person coming to do in South Africa or the purpose of the visit.
O tlo bona president or o tla privately.
Is he coming to meet the president or is he coming on his own capacity or on a private visit?
Yes, continue and tell me what you do if it contains this information or different information.
Jaanong wena o dirang ha ina le molaetsa o kapo molaetsa o mong o sele.
Yes, if note verbally e bua gore president ya ko country engwe e tla for visit ho bona president ra checka.
Yes, if the note verbal states that the president from another country is coming in to meet the South African president, we check it.
Desk ya country e tshwanetse o itse gore ho na le visit mo South Africa. Political desk
Or, yeah, mo.
or my director.
Our political desk must know, or my director must know that there is another president from outside the country who is coming in.
For any president wa tla mo South Africa, state visit, ba tshwanetse wa assign a protocol officer.
Okay. For any president who's coming into South Africa or a state visit, but
Who assign a protocol officer for that visit.
they are supposed to assign a protocol officer for that specific visit.
So
And who does the assigning? Who assigns the
Ke mang wa
protocol
tlhophang
officer?
lona leloko leo?
is my director.
My director yo.
And who was your director at the time?
Ke ne le mang mo director wa gago ka nako eo?
It was Mrs. Mason, but he was out of the country.
Mrs.
Mason.
It was Mrs. Mason, but she was out of the country.
and then
In her absence, who was performing her duties as
Ha
director?
a seyo, ke mang o neng a kolosetsa ditiro tsa gae?
Mrs. Mdlele.
Mrs. Mdledle, chairperson.
Yes, okay. Continue.
Mo probleming e tlhahitseng o ne go sena a desk ya e tshwanetse le yona e nne involved mo any visit.
The desk is supposed to also be involved if there is any visit,
So mo probleming e ha ona dilo tse tsotlhe tse ha di a etsagala.
but in this matter or this problem that we are having now, all of those did not happen.
Okay, I'm sorry, just repeat that. I missed that.
Mo probleming e tlhahetseng ya the Indians.
Yeah.
Ha ona tse tsotlhe tse ke di buileng ha ona e dirahetseng.
With the problem that we are having of this Indian visit, there is none of those that I've stated that happened, Your Worship.
Is that the usual procedures that are normally followed? Is that what you are talking
Ka
about?
mantswe a mang, ditsamaiso tsa tlwaelo tseo di tshwantseng hore di latelwe mehla le mehla ha go tlo diragala seo.
Yes.
Yes, Chairperson.
Sometimes director can analumpisa if we receive a formal request.
Because normally the director is the one who will call me if he got the formal request.
Yes.
At this point, mo aga cry anything, even my director, na say anything.
But with this, I never received anything. Even my director did not know anything.
Yes. Is that a request separate from the note verbal that we are talking about, or is it the same thing that when you say request?
Ha ore kopo e farologane le note verbal kampo ke selo se le seng?
No, di farologane.
No, they are separate.
They are two separate things.
Ke ntho tse pedi tse farologaneng.
Yes.
Yes, Chairperson.
So if there is going to be a visit by a head of state from another country on official business to meet with the President of South Africa, you say there would be a note verbal that should be issued, that should be available.
Ore ga go na le tonakgolo go tswa mafatsheng a mangwe a tlile fa ka ditiro tsa setšhaba a tlo bonana mohlomong le tonakgolo wa ka fa go tshwanetse gore go be le seo seo le se bitsang note verbal.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Chairperson.
So in this case, you say there was no note verbal and there was no request as well. Is that what you are saying?
Mo go se ore go sena note verbal ebile go sena kopo kapa yona request.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
And the request would be a request for what that you say was not there in this case?
Pardon, I didn't get that.
The request
Yes.
that you say was not there would have been a request for what?
Kopo eo o reng he ine isiyo ine itlabo ile kopo ya eng?
Ya kopo e ke buang ka yona is not verbal. Yes.
The request, Chairperson, that I'm talking about is actually the note verbal.
Oh, I thought earlier on when I asked you whether it's a separate, the request and the note verbal were separate things, I thought you said they were separate things.
No.
Oh, na nagana gore o itse ha o botsa peleng wa re ke ntho tse pedi tse farologaneng he.
Okay, no, I got sorry.
Oh,
apologies.
I misunderstood you.
Oh, okay. So when you talk about the request and the note verbal, you are talking about the same thing.
Ha o bua ka kopo request le note verbal o bua ka so se le seng.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
Okay, all right. So now we know that one of the things that you say would normally happen that did not happen was that there should have been a note verbal, but in this case, there was no note verbal.
Ka mantswe a mang ra tseba gore ne go tshwanetse gore seo se ne se tshwanetseng se diragale ko gore o fitlhele kopo e feletseng kapo yona note verbal empa go se ne go sena note verbal.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
What other step or procedure or item in the procedure that was normally followed which did not happen? in this case?
Ke eng gape seo se neng se tshwanetse gore se latelwe kapo ditsamaiso tse o ne tshwanetseng gore di latelwe kapo magato a itseng ao a sa kang a diragala mo go se?
As ke buile go state visit he ba assigna protocol officer
At the state visit, when they assign the protocol officer,
o arrange accommodation,
he must arrange some accommodation,
transport,
and
then the venue the meetings.
the venue for the meetings.
So at this time, our rights are Holland.
In this point in time, all of those did not happen.
And who was the protocol officer at the time who would have performed, who would have done that if this was a state visit and there was going to be a head of state coming to South Africa?
Protocol officer wa nako yeo ine ile mang ha ile gore na go tlo ba le batho ba kwa ntle ba batlo etang fa o na tshwantse gore nka ba dirile seo.
No, most state visit Rawanti and then rotate.
As far as the state visits, there are quite a number of us, we are many, and we are rotating, Chairperson.
Or it would have been a protocol officer who would have been assigned for this particular trip?
Well, ine tla ba protocol officer o leng gore o tla bo a tlhophilwe gore e nne yena wa tla dirang seo.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
And who would have been the person to assign a protocol officer?
Motho o e leng yena ne tshwanetse gore a tlhophe gore protocol officer ke mang, ine e le mang?
No, director, my director.
Director, that is now my director, Your Worship.
In her absence, who did you say was performing her duties?
Ha ane a seyo ke mang o o reng o na dira ditiro tsa gagwe?
Mrs. Noah Mdlele.
Mrs. Noah Mdlele.
Okay, thank you. And what other step in the procedure that would normally have applied, that did not apply, that was not invoked in this case?
Ke magato mafe ao a mang gape ao a neng a tshwanetse gore nkabe a tseilwe ao a sa kang a tseiwa kapo a diragala mo tabeng re buang ka yone.
Anti he hona le visit like in incoming visit to South Africa. Ba kena meeting.
Normally, when there are incoming visits into the country,
The meetings.
there will be meetings that must be held
Tsa go prepare for visit.
to prepare for the visit.
So it is more Hawaii any meetings.
In this, Your Worship, no meeting did take place.
Okay, and who would convene those meetings?
Ke mang wa neng a tla tshwanna go simolola kgotsa go bitsa dikopano tseo?
Protocol officer assigned to that visit.
The protocol officer assigned for that visit.
Yes, thanks. And then what other procedural step that would normally have been taken that wasn't taken in this instance?
Tlele foge keng hape se seng kapo seo se leng sa se ke sa diragala se e leng gore ne tshwanetse gore se diragetse mo sebakeng se.
Gantsi ke nna ke romelang note verbal to go Air Force requesting the clearance.
Normally, I am the one that will send the note verbal to the Air Force requesting for the clearance.
So for problem nna ke maketsi ile direct go Air Force.
But in this matter, I was surprised that that note verbal went direct to the Air Force.
And it was not sent by you this time?
Ine isa romelwa ke wena mo sebakeng seo?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
Who sent it?
Ke mang a e rometseng?
note verbally, I write note verbally, like normal note verbally, Eric Ria. Naki receive a call from ambassador.
Chairperson, we didn't receive the note verbal as usual as we are supposed to. I only received a call from the ambassador,
And then they send me a small message.
and then they just sent me a short or small message,
And then I forward that message to the Air Force.
and then I forwarded that message to the Air Force.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to take from there? You have an idea what my interest,
Yes,
where my
indeed, Chair.
interest is? Okay,
Thank you, Chair.
yeah, but I think just complete, let's be sure about all the procedural steps that he says used to be taken, that he says were not taken. Now we know that on his evidence, one of them is the note verbal, and that was said by previous witnesses. It wasn't there. He says that the other is that a protocol officer would be assigned to the trip. That wasn't done. He has mentioned that he would be the one that would normally send the note verbal to the Air Force. There was no note verbal. He didn't send that, but he says there was a message that he was given, a small message as he put it, which he passed on. Just follow up to see whether there are any other procedural steps that he knows would normally be taken but were not taken, and then take it from there.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Majila, when Ambassador Kolwane called you, what documents did you have relating to the India delegation?
He Ambassador Kulwane ane a go letsetsa ke lekwalo le feng leo o neng o na le lona malebana le go tlo eta ga batho ba ba tswang India?
O sena lengwalo le ke le tshwereng next from ambassador, like sort of note verbal.
There was actually no document that I had or received from the ambassador, like the note verbal itself.
Did you receive, Mr. Majila, did you receive anything from the Air Force?
Go na le seo o ileng wa se amogela go tswa ko Air Force?
No, Air Force, I didn't receive anything from Air Force.
No, I didn't receive anything from the Air Force.
Mr. Majila, am I correct in saying that all you had received is a call on behalf and from Ambassador Kolwane?
Ka mantswe a mang ke nnete gore seo o se fitlhetseng fela ke mogala go tswa go ambassador le seo se fitlhetseng go tswa go Morena Kolwane.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And Mr. Majila, the clearance number that was issued from the Air Force was done without any proper non-verbal or authorization from DIRCO.
Are clearance number eo e leng ya fiwa ka yona go tswa ko Air Force-eng gore e dirilwe ka tsela eo e seng ya maleba ebile e seng mohlomong ka tumelo kapo go tsibiwa ke DIRCO?
Yes.
Yes, that is true.
Oh, did you want to add something?
Yes.
Go na le seno o batlang go se-
Yes.
Eh.
Ne ke kopa ho wa bontsha clearance e nna ke kry-ang from Air Force. If ho na le any visit.
Oh,
Ke kry clearance
I wanted to show Chairperson the clearance that I would normally receive from the Air Force.
Chair, that would be paginated, page 15. Of
Yes, okay, before we do that, Mr. Machel, let's just complete the part that I wanted to complete. In terms of the procedure that was normally followed when there was a head of state who was going to visit South Africa, have you finished telling me the procedural steps that would normally be taken but were not taken on this occasion? Or are there still some that you want to tell me? Procedural steps that were not taken.
Mabapi le lenaneo le tshwantseng hore le nkiwe ga go tla mohlomong he motho wa ka ntle kapo tonakgolo wa ka ntle a tla mo mabapi le lenaneo le tlameleng le latelwe o ne o setse o feditse gore o mo tlhalosetse gore keng gape tse ding tseo di sa kang di a latelwa tseo di leng mo molaong.
Yes, he otla president ya ko country e nngwe. Ke kra note verbal.
Yes, Chairperson, when the president from another country is coming to visit, I will get the note verbal,
Ke scanner
which I will scan
and then send it to the Air Force.
and then send it to the Air Force.
And then from Air Force, maybe 2-3 days.
From there, we will wait for 2 or 3 days,
And then one rumela approval.
and then they will then send me the approval.
Yes, okay.
And then I send it back to the embassy.
Then I will send it back to the embassy.
Yes. Would that normally complete your role in
So-
the state visit?
Go na le batho ba tlo
State visit.
go na le tlhogo ya setšhaba se itseng e tlo etang ka fo seo o tla bo o koloseditse tiro ya gago.
Yes, after I sneak approval from Air Force. Yes, officials.
Yes, Chairperson, after I get the approval from the Air Force, that shall have completed my role.
Oh, okay. Yes, you want to.
Dirko or my director,
Yeah.
we don't approve, are approving any flight clearance.
DECO or my director, your ship, we don't approve any flight clearances.
We only forward it to the Air Force.
We only forward it to the Air Force.
Yes, okay. Now, in this case, you didn't forward to the Air Force any note verbal because there was none, but you say you also didn't, or you forwarded a small message, as you put it, to the
Yes.
Air Force. Is
Mo-
that correct?
Mo go
Yes.
se ha wa romela tokomane e itseng ko Air Force se o se dirileng fela o rometse molaetsa o mokhutswane.
Molaetsa o mokhutswane o ko rometseng ke ho bontsha hore as ambassador e le head of our section.
Yes, the message that I sent your ship was to show that as the ambassador is our head of the section,
Ha ona hore nka hana go dira mosebetsi, just hore a bone hore ke entse mosebetsi. As I'm instructed.
that there is no way that I can refuse to do the job or the duties that I was given. It was to show that I did something or the duty as instructed.
Mo my email, I get sending it to the Air Force. Ne le ntho tse 3.
On the email that I sent to the Air Force, there were 3 things.
Assist for your information.
Assist
And then below.
for your information, and then?
Assist
Yeah. For your
and below, assistant and for your information.
Bilio, assist, Bilio, and for your information.
No approval.
And no approval.
Yes. You want to take it from there?
Yes, Chair. Just to assist, Mr. Majula is talking to a document that's in FF4, Chair,
Okay,
from pages 198.
FF6.
Mr. Majula, it's the big file just right next to you.
Oh.
Oh,
Yes.
O foo?
Yes.
Yes, I'm there.
In the middle of that page on 198,
Mo magareng ga letlapi le 198
that is an email from you
ke email e tswang kwa go wena
Yes.
to the Air Force.
go ya kwa ko Air Force.
Yes.
Yes.
And the message that you forwarded is on page 199.
Molaetsa o romeletseng o for go letlapi 199.
Yes.
Yes.
Chair, can we read just that short message into the record?
Oh, yeah, let him, you can read it.
Thank you, Chair. Dear William, as per your discussion with Ambassador Kolwani with regards to the request for flight clearances and landing at the Waterkloof AFB for the Indian delegation, kindly note that Ambassador Kolwani telephonically approved the request. Regards. And this was sent on behalf of Ambassador Kolwani, Office of the DDG State Protocol, on the 9th of April, 2013, 08:33 a.m.
Well,
Go na
let's
molaetsa
have,
o ba tlhalosang gore o rongwetse kwa Air Force.
Yes.
Yes, that is true.
have you had a chance to interpret the actual text of the message, Mr. Interpreter? It says, Dear William, as per your discussion with Ambassador Kolwane with regards to the request for flight clearances and landing at Waterkloof AFB for the Indian delegation, kindly note that Ambassador Kolwane telephonically approved the request.
Yeah, o tlhalosa mo gore go ya ka puo magareng ga gago le Ambassador Kolwane mabapi le kopo ya gore go fuwe tetla ya difofane tse o di tshwantseng gore di tlo go tama for Waterkloof go tswa India kapo tse o di tlabong di laisitse batho go tswa India a tsa tsia gore Ambassador Kolwane o ile a dumelana ka mogala gore kopo yeo e amogetswe.
Yes, Chair.
That is quite correct, Chairperson.
Who did you receive this message from?
O fitlhela go tswa go mang molaetsa o?
PA ya Ambassador.
From the Ambassador's public assistance
Yes. Now,
or personal assistance?
yes. Now, the request that Ambassador Kolwane was said to have telephonically approved, what request was that and who had it come from?
Kopo yeo Ambassador Kolwane a tlhalosang gore o ile a dumela ine ile kopo ya eng ebile ge e tlhaga e tswa go mang?
Nna o tsweng ho message o ile ka fetsa go bua le Ambassador le Merle le PA ya hae regarding problem e. Sele ka fetsa go bua le Ambassador from mo.
As far as this message is concerned, Your Worship, I lastly spoke to Ambassador Kolwane and his PA, and that was it.
Well, this email was addressed to you, therefore one would expect that you would understand what it says, and if you did not understand, you would go back to them.
Are molaetsa o go bonagala o ne o rongwetswe go wena mo ineng ile gore o ne o ka tlhaloganya gore ba tlhalosa goreng ha o sa tlhaloganye ne o tla tshwanna gore o buele go bone o ile batla go utlwisisa gore ga thweng.
Yes, Chair.
Yes,
Yes,
Chairperson.
so my question is, what was your understanding of what a request Mr. Kolwane's PA was talking about in this email that she said Mr. Kolwane had approved?
Wena o ne o tlhaloganya gore o bua ka kopo e feng eo a tlhalosang gore Mr. Kolwane o e dumetse kapo ge o dumetse gore e ka ntshiwa?
nna ka gore ke kopile di-document ka se di kry-e ke he ke botsa PA gore ga ona se nka se dirang without document.
Look, Chairperson, I asked for some documentation, which I couldn't receive. And that's when I spoke to the PA, and I told her, seeing that I did not receive any documents,
E se nka se dirang.
there is nothing that I can do.
Is that what you said to Mr. Kolwane's PA after receiving this email at
Yes.
page 199?
Ke seo se tshilong go mothusi kapo PA ya Mr. Kolwane ga o fetsa go fitlhela molaetsa o mo page 199?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
Am I correct to take that to mean that you did not understand what request she was talking about in the email?
Re ka tsaya gore o ne o sa utlwisise gore o bua ka kopo e feng eo a neng a bua ka yona mo molaetseng o mo 199?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
Do you remember what documents you asked for in response to this email when you spoke to Mr. Kolwane's PA?
Wa gakologelwa gore o ile wa kopa ditokomane tse feng kapo tse jang go tswa go Mr. Kolwane ha o ne o buisana le mothusi wa hae kapo PA ya hae?
Yes, Chair.
What documents?
Yes,
Yeah,
Nelly,
what documents did you ask for?
tokomane tse jang tse o ne o di kopa?
Tokomane tse ke di kopa ke note verbal.
The documents that I requested was a note verbal.
Mo note verbaleng hona le flight plan, flight details, mo document.
On the note verbal, there shall be a flight plan or flight details.
Ke tsona tse ntse ke di kopa so that I can forward it to the Air Force.
Those were the things that I was asking for so that I could send them to the Air Force.
What did Mr. Kolwane's PA say when you made this request?
Mothusi kapo PA ya Mr. Kolwane o itseng ha o dira kopo e tshwanang le eo?
After I ne an romela e ke mmotsa gore no ke kopa something in writing to approve. Ke an romela email yona e and then ke fetsa bua le bona both.
After I asked her to send me something in writing, Your Worship, that's when she then sent me this email. And that was the last time I then spoke to them.
So the discussion that you have told me about between yourself and Mr. Kolwane's PA, when you asked her for certain documents, including the note verbal, happened before she sent you the email at page 199.
Di puisano magareng ga gago le ene o mo kopa gore a go romele ditokomane kapo note verbal ge di diragetse pele ga a tla romela email kapo molaetsa o?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
What had prompted that discussion between you and Mr. Kolwane's PA?
Ke eng se se dirileng gore o be o buisane le mothusi wa Mr. Kolwane kapo PA ya gagwe?
Ke ena a re fang melaetsa if hona le melaetsa ho sebetsa mosebetsi wa rena. PA.
Because she is the one that is conduit between both of us, she's the one that will be sending us messages as we are working together.
You did say that the first thing that your first involvement was when Mr. Kolwane asked you to assist with the clearance, is that correct?
Yes, Chair.
Gore sa pele se o se buileng le Mr. Kolwane o kopile gore o mo thuse ka clearance.
Yes.
Yes, Chairperson.
And you said that at that stage you did not have any documentation relating to this visit.
Ka nako eo o ne o soka o fitlhela makwalo kapo kopo mabapi le go tloeta ga batho bao ba itseng?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
Did Mr. Kolwane tell you in that conversation that he had with you whether this was a visit by a head of state or by a deputy president of another country, or a visit that entailed some ministers. Did he talk to you about those details?
Ikaba Mr. Kulane ha go kopa jalo o ila go tlhalosetsa gore ge mhlomong go tla mo presidente wa naga sele kapo letsogo la mo presidente kapo ditonagolo tsa dinaga tse ding dilo tse tshwanang le tseo?
No, Chair.
No, Chairperson.
Did he simply say, please assist with obtaining a clearance for this Indian government request, or exactly how did you put it to make sure you understood what he wanted you to assist with?
O itse fela thusa ka kopo ya clearance ya batho ba ba tswang India ba ba tlo tshakang ka foo ha gona se wa ileng a se tlhalosa go feta foo gore ba tla go diragalang.
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Did he say this was a visit involving a head of state or some ministers or president from another country? Did he say that?
Ikaba o ile a tlhalosa gore ke batho ba ileng gore ba tla ka fo go tla mhlomong batho ba ileng gore ba mo pusong go tswa ka ntle mhlomong ditonagolo jalo jalo?
No, sir. Only assist Indian delegation.
No, Chairperson, he just said I must assist the Indian delegation.
At that stage, at the stage of that conversation with Mr. Kolwane, did you know what Indian delegation he was talking about?
Ha una o bua le ena ka nako eo a bua gore go tla batho bao a ba bitsang Indian delegation, o ne o tlhaloganya kapo o itse gore Indian delegation o raya eng?
No, Chair.
No, Chairperson.
Did you ask him for any information about this visit by this Indian delegation?
Ikaba o ile wa motsa gore ge a go tlhalosetse mhlomong go se go kae mabapi le bona batho bao kapo delegation eo?
No, Chair.
No.
Did you know where to find information about the Indian delegation? Is that why you didn't ask, because you knew where you would find the information?
Una o itse gore o ka fitlhela kae mhlomong molaetsa ka yona Indian delegation eo kapo no sa itse ke ka mo sa ka wa motsa?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Where would you find the information?
Una o tla e fitlhela kae pego e tshwanang le eo kapo thuso ya gore batho ba ke bomang ba tlo dirang?
As ki wile gore go state visit re kry note verbal.
As I've stated that whenever there is a state visit, we get a note verbal.
Fa go sena note verbal ga ona gore re ka itse gore Indian delegation or Brazilian delegation ba tla in South Africa.
But if there is no note verbal, there is no way that we would know that the Indian delegation or the Brazilian delegation is coming into South Africa.
Yes, but my question is, you didn't ask him for more information about the Indian delegation that he was talking about and that whose visit he wanted you to help with in terms of the clearance. And you said you knew where to find the information. Now, the question is, where were you going to find the information?
Ore awa ka wa motsa go le go kalo mabapi le Indian delegation eo eneng e tla fage empa ore ga o ne o itse gore wa itse gore o ne o tla fitlhela kae ka mantswamang tlhaloso e tletseng ka Indian delegation jaanong o batla go itse gore modulasetulo o batla go itse gore o ne o tla o fitlhela kae molaetsa o tshwanang le
As anti ki bua hore re fa ke our director mosebetsi. Fa ona le any request, director ke ena a re fang mosebetsi.
As I've stated that we are given these tasks or duties by our director, and then director
If director asna any mosebetsi, hora hore ha ona se mosebetsi.
and if there is no task or duties from the director, it means there is nothing then.
Does that mean that you didn't ask him for more information because you were going to wait for your director or the person who was performing your director's duties to give you more details about the visit?
Kamanzwa manghe uzanga o sa mmotsa go le go kalo ka leeto la batho bao ba India ka gore o ne o itse gore ge e le gore ka nnete go na le batho bao ba tlang go tlo eta fa o ne o tla fiwa tiro e itseng mabapi le seo ke mo director wa gago?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
And then you waited, and did the person who was performing your director's duties ask you to do anything?
Le wa leta e ka ba motho o eneng ile ena yo a tshwaretseng director wa gago o ile a go fa tiro e itseng?
No, Chair.
No, Chairperson.
Is that answer mean you did not wait for your director or person performing your director's duties to give you instructions?
Ka mantswe a mang o ne o sa emela gore mo directora a go fe ditiro tse itseng mabapi le taba e?
Yes, ke be ki a director a re file, nke be ki kirile. So today I see ki kry not verbal.
Look, yes, if the director gave us some tasks, I should have received the note verbal, but till today, we never received any note verbal.
Okay, I think there may be some misunderstanding. Am I correct to say you waited to see whether the person performing your director's duties would give you instructions, including a not verbal?
Oh, ka mantswe a mang, o ile wa ema wa leta go bona gore ka ba motho o a tshwaretseng mo directora o tla go fa ditiro tse itseng kapo yona note verbal?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, I did.
Yes, and at what stage did you then speak to Mr. Kolwane's PA about documents?
Wa ba o bua leng kapo ga go diragalang le mothusi wa ntate Kolwane mabapi le taba ya note verbal?
Re buile ka yona nakwananyana e napile a ngwadileng this email, and then ra fetsa go bua ona mo.
It was during the period when she then sent this email, and that was it. That was the last time we spoke.
And who called? Did you call her or did she call you?
Ke mang a ileng a letsetsa o mong? Ke wena o mo letseditseng kapo yena o ile a letsetsa wena?
Ena o letseditse nna.
She is the one that called me.
Okay, and what did she say in that telephone conversation with you?
Mo mogaleng a o buisana le yena o ile a reng?
Mr. Machila, Ambassador assisted Indian delegation with the clearance.
She said, Mr. Machila, the ambassador is saying, please assist the Indian delegation with the clearance.
So was she effectively repeating what Mr. Machila had said to you in the telephone conversation? No, Mr. Kolwane, not Mr. Was Mr. Kolwane's PA in this telephone conversation repeating in effect what Mr. Kolwane had said to you in an earlier telephone conversation?
Ka mantswe a mang o ne a bueletsa seo Mr. Kolwane a neng a go boleletse sona peleng ga a re o thuse batjhaki ba kwa India.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
And what did you say? I know some of the things that you said because you said you requested documents, but just tell me the actual conversation, how it went. This is what she said to you, that Mr. Kolwane said, please assist. And what did you say? And let me hear how the conversation unfolded.
Ya jaanong re bolelle mantswe a ileng ona o ileng wa tlhalosa go yene o kopile gore Mr. Kolwane a re tswetswe thusa ka clearance wena mo go mo arabeng ga gago o ile wa reng go yene.
Yes, as PA a sebetsa ko state visit or a sebetsa ko state visit. O itse di procedure tsa state visit tse tsotlhe.
As the PA is working at the state visit, she knows all the procedures of the state visit.
Because ke mmoleletse gore he re sa tshwara note verbal ha ona se nka se etsang.
And then I told her that if we are not in possession of the note verbal, there is absolutely nothing that we can do.
Now, do you only get involved in state visits?
Wena o amega fela ga go na le batšhaki go tswa ka ntle kapo ba puso ba tswang ka ntle kapo ba state visit fela.
Sorry.
Wena o amega fela ga go na le batšhaki go tswa mafatsheng a kwa ntle ba tlile ka fo fela kapo sona state visits ke mo fela o amegang teng mo tirong ya gago.
Ha wa mo tirong ya ka le mo presidente wa rena ha tswa o thusa ke nna go
Ha tswa aya.
a tswa a ya ko ntle.
Okay. No, not only that, Your Worship, even our head of state or our president is being assisted by myself whenever he is going abroad.
Yes, I'm trying to understand at what stage you understood that this was a state visit, if at any stage that is what you understood, because you didn't ask Mr. Kolwane whether this was a state visit. You didn't ask him whether the visit involved a head of state or ministers. So I'm trying to understand whether at any stage your understanding was that this was a visit by a head of state, a deputy head of state, ministers, and if that is the case, at what stage you understood that to be the case?
Se modulasetulo a batlang go se ba ke gore ka gore o ra wa ka wa mmotsa go ya go ile mabapi le batho bao a reng ba tlo tšhaka go tswa India wena mhlomong o gakologetswe leng gore gantlentle batho ba batlang ke batho ba ileng gore mhlomong ke batho ba ileng gore ke maloko a bo presidente kapo ditonagolo jalo.
My director asan fe any note verbal. Ka bona gore hora gore visit maybe as a state visit. Maybe a private.
Look, after my director.
Yes, my director.
My director did not forward me
Note verbal.
with the note verbal. That's when I realized that this visit is not actually a state visit and that this might be a private visit.
Up to that point, was your understanding that this was a state visit?
Go fitlhella fao wena no o nagana gore ke batho ba ileng gore ba tlo tšhaka go tswa mafatsheng ka kontle ba tlile ka ditiro tsa bosetšhaba.
No, Chair.
No.
Before that point, you didn't understand whether it was a state visit or private visit.
Pele ga mo o ne o sa tlhaloganye gore ke batšhaki bao e leng gore ke ba batlileng ka ditiro tsa puso kapo ba itletse fela.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
So when the telephone call from Mr. Kolwane, when the PA to Mr. Kolwane called you, at that stage, the time within which you were supposed to get note verbal, had it passed, or you were still expecting to be given a note verbal at that stage.
nakong eo no buisana le mothusi wa Mr. Kolwane kapo PA ya gagwe nako ene o tshwanetse gore nkebe note verbal ne o tshwantse o e fitlhetse ine se e fitile kapo ine e soka e feta
Mo tsamaong ya letsatsi sentse ke emetse note verbal. Ke re starta go bona landing ya Gupta ka bo 1-2. Sentse
lona
ke
tsatsi
emetse note verbal.
on the day your ship on the specific day when we were still waiting for the note verbal your ship that's when during the course of the day we noticed that there is a plane that was landing in the base your ship which was the Gupta plane.
Okay, I'm not sure if I follow that. The plane, we are still talking about the 9th of April.
Bua ka tsatsi la di 9 tsa April akere?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Shepherd.
Okay, let's go back to the conversation with Mr. Kolwane's PA. She said, Mr. Machila, Mr. Kolwane says, please assist with the clearance for this trip, for this visit. Is that right?
O buile le Mr. Kolwane a re o thuse ka clearance ya batho ba o batlang akere?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
And as I understand your evidence, you then said you needed a note verbal before you could assist. Is that correct?
Go ya ka bopaki ba gago wa ba o re re tlo tlhoka gore re fitlhele so se ba reng ke note verbal.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
And together with the note verbal, you expected a flight or details of the flight.
Ntle le gang le yona note verbal ne o tshwanetse gore o fitlhele le tlhaloso ya gore sefofane se tlang ke sefofane se itseng se itseng.
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
So did you say to her, I can't assist unless I get a note verbal?
Ule wa mo tlhalosetsa gore ha gona mo ka phone ka thusang ka teng ntle le note verbal.
Yes, Chair. Most state visit, ha re dire dilo ka phone, telephonically. Re batla paperwork or note verbal.
Yes, Chair, because as far as the state visit is concerned, we don't do things, Your Worship, telephonically. We do things according to documentation or the note verbal.
And what did Mr. Kolwane's PA said when you said you could not assist unless there was a note verbal?
Mothusi wa Mr. Kolwane ka bo PA ya hae o ile a reng ha o mo tlhalosetsa gore ga gona ka fo ka thusang ntle le note verbal.
Ile ra fetsa go bua hona mo.
That was the end of our speech or talking. Your Worship.
Did she undertake to convey your request to Mr. Kolwane?
E ka ba o ile a tshepisa gore ke tla romela molaetsa go Morena Kolwane?
No, Chair, ampotsa anything.
No, Chair, she didn't tell me anything.
Okay, and then what happened after that? Is that when you received the message from Mr. Kolwane that you passed on to the Air Force?
Go a diregang morago ga foo ke foo o ileng wa fitlhela molaetsa go tswa go Morena Kolwane o ileng wa o fetisetsa ko Air Force?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Would you normally get involved if the visit was a private visit and not a state visit?
Go a diragala gore o amege ga ile gore batho ba batlang go tlo eta ka fa ga se batho ba tlang semmuso empa ke batho fela ba itletseng ka mabaka a bona.
He ile president other privately. Yes, I assist.
If it is the president who is coming privately, yes, I do assist.
Because more privately, ona lora ayo wana our president ntse a tlile for privately.
Because on a private visit, it happened that he has come to meet our own state president, even though he came privately.
Okay, then do you want to complete it?
Yes, Chair. I've also noted that it's about 25 past, but however, we can continue. I've just got, a singular question, and to refer to Mr. Majula, he had put that he wanted to make reference to a document, and that would be the conclusion.
Yes, okay, maybe let's use the time up to 11:30, and then we take the tea break.
As the chair pleases.
Yeah.
Mr. Majila, just to conclude on the evidence that you have informed the chair on, what has now changed to deter non-compliance of, let's just say, the non-verbals at DIRCO and so forth?
Are king se leng gore se ile sa fetola gore go se ka tlhole go ntshiwa kapo go tholagala di non-verbal go tswa ko DIRCO?
Sorry. Repeat
Can you repeat your question again?
Yes. What has now changed to deter non-compliance of the normal processes of the the note verbal?
O are king diphetogo tse ba di dirileng gore go se ke ga tlhola go diragala gore ge go dirwe ditiro tse tshwanang le tse ntle le gore go fitlhelwe non-verbal?
Yes. Chair, hona yaanong, he ke romela any request ko Air Force,
At this point in time, if I send any request at the Air Force,
ke attach a letter ya DIRCO,
I attach the letter from DIRCO,
and then I sign it with the stamp sa DIRCO.
and then I will sign it with a stamp from DIRCO.
And then, mo note verbaling, ba tshwanetse gore ba bue presidente ka leina, e seng VVIP.
And now on the note verbal, they must state the full names of the president, isn't
VVIP.
not VVIP.
Chair, that note that he's talking about is on paginated page 14.
I think I would like you to go to the message that he got from Mr. Machila, which he sent to the Air Force.
Indeed, Chair. That would be the email sent to the Air Force forwarding that message he received on behalf of Ambassador Kolwane.
At page 199,
Yes.
the one that we were dealing with.
It's page 198. That's the message that he, Mr. Majila, had forwarded to.
Sorry, Mr. Machila. Are you at page 198 of exhibit FF4?
More page 198, yeah, exhibit FF4. Okay?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Is that an email that you sent? Is that the email that covering email that you sent to the Air Force?
Ke yona email e o ileng wa e romela kwa go Air Force?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
It's written, it seems to be addressed to SAAF overflights, and then it copies a number of people, and it says from Majila WM, and it was sent on Tuesday, April 9, 2013 at 8:57 a.m. And the subject is a request for flight clearances dash Indian delegation. Is that the message we are talking about, the covering email we are talking about?
Ke yona email e o buang ka yona eo modulasetulo a qetang go e tlhalosa gona jaanong?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
And what did you attach to that covering email? Did you attach, yeah, where is the one that you attached there? Is it the one at page 199?
Ke eng se o ileng wa se mamaretsa go email e o e rometseng? Ke ka ba ke e ileng mo 199?
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chairperson.
Thank you. And then did you say that later on you received the approval or clearance from Waterkloof?
Gore moragong o ile wa fumana tokelo kapo yona approval go tswa ko Waterkloof?
No, Chair.
No.
Was the sending of this message the last thing you did in connection with assisting with regard to this trip?
Go romeleng ga gago molaetsa o ke sona se o se dirileng la mafello go fitlheleng?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Did you have another conversation with Mr. Kolwane in connection with this visit and your assistance?
O ile wa ba le dipuisano tse ding gape le Mr. Kolwane le mothusi wa gagwe mabapi le taba ya clearance?
No, sir.
No, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Have you got
Chair.
anything?
Chair, besides Mr. Majila attempting earlier to refer to an annexure of his his confirmatory affidavit, there is nothing further to lead in evidence.
Okay, Mr. Machila, I think at this stage we are done with you. Thank you very much for coming to give evidence. You are now excused.
Wa tshepa re feditse ka wena ra leboga gore o tla go fana ka bopaki o ka gololega.
Okay, thanks.
It's 11:30. We'll take the tea adjournment and we'll resume at 11:45. We adjourn.
Yeah.
Sure, sure.
Please state your full names for the record.
Derek Mboiselo Mkwebi.
Do you have any objections to making the prescribed affirmation?
I'm not having any objection.
Do you solemnly swear that all the evidence that you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, I truly affirm.
I truly affirm.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. General, is it correct that you employed in the South African Defence Force, or the department that's known as, together with military veterans, but we'll refer to it as the Defence Force, is that correct?
We refer to the department as Department of Defense and Military Veterans.
Yes. And what position are you holding there currently?
I am a retired Lieutenant General.
Yes.
I've just been called up to be an acting Director General in the Military Veterans.
Yes. How long were you with the department before you retired?
I would say probably 38 years.
Yes, thank you. You were presiding over the Board of Inquiry, am I correct? That was held by the department in connection with the Waterkloof incident.
Yes, I was the president of the board.
You were the president of the board. Who else assisted you?
We have the late Major General Petan,
Yes.
and we had, he was a brigadier general at the time, Mnisi is a Major General now.
Yes.
And then Colonel Lomo, he was a colonel at the time, he's a brigadier general now. He was a scribe of the board.
Yes. Thank you. What was the mandate of the board?
The board was convened by General Shoke after the incident of landing of the aircraft at the Air Force Base Waterkloof. And then the board was expected to determine whether in fact there was an authority and clearance for the aircraft to land there, then whether the policies and procedures were followed, and if not, if there was anybody or individuals who might have at least violated any prescripts or any weaknesses in the system to be rectified. We had to determine that and be able to report, make findings and report back and with recommendation to the convener of the board, which was General Shoke.
Yes, thank you. Before we go into detail, could you just, because in your statement you deal with what you had to do insofar as the board is concerned, but could you please identify your statement, which appears at pages 1 to page 4?
I'm sorry, did you say page 4?
Yes, to page, I beg your pardon, Chair, it's 1 point, they put in as 1.4, I beg your pardon. Yes, it will be page 1.1 to page 1.4 of Exhibit FF4.
Yes, okay.
Yes, thank you. Are you there, General? Do you identify, did you sign the statement, and do you identify your signature there?
Yes, I do.
Where is it?
You talking about the affidavit?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Is your signature the one appearing at page 1.4?
The signature is appearing at the page 4.
Yes. And are the contents of what you've put in that statement true and correct?
They are true.
Yes, thank you. Now, let's talk about then, you've already outlined what the mandate of the board was. How did you go about then investigating and discharging your mandate?
Well, we had, first of all, to look at who would be appearing before the board.
Yes.
And to determine that, we had to look at the structure of the Defence Force.
Yes.
And who is in charge for what.
Yes.
So all the military Air Force bases are under the Chief of the Air Force.
Yes,
And whatever happens there falls under his jurisdiction.
yes,
But anything which has got to do with information, intelligence, then falls under the Chief of Defense Intelligence. So from there, they become the first individuals to give a sense of what actually happens.
yes. And the Chief of
And
the
then
Air
from
Force.
there, there will be structures.
Okay,
There's the level of the structures, you would have the Chief of the Air Force, which we'll call level 2. And then you would have the Air Command post, which becomes level 3.
Yes,
And then you'll have the base itself, which is Waterkloof Air Force Base, which becomes level 4.
yes.
And all of them have got certain responsibilities and tasks you've got to understand, so that at least who is in charge for what and who reports to who.
Yes,
So we followed that order to speak to those who were in command.
thank you. And the Chief of Air Force is General Msimang, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
General Msimang.
So is that why then you will find that his questions and statements, they appear quite early in the report?
Yes, we had to follow that order.
Yes, you followed the order of seniority
Yes.
in interviewing them. Thank you. Then you interviewed them. Did you prepare a set of questions for them, which they had to answer to, or did you simply conduct oral interviews with all of them?
It was oral interviews, and those who were probably not comfortable with that, they had to make statements, but they have to at least all of them do that under oath.
Yes. And those interviews that were given under oath, were they recorded mechanically?
They were recorded.
And the company that the Air Force used to record those, was it a company that's contracted to the Air Force? And because the transcripts, I'll deal with that aspect of a transcript that was questioned yesterday by one of the witnesses, Major Njisi.
Yes.
I just want to get you the name of the company that was doing the recordings, whether it is a company that's contracted to the Defense Force, and it appears in that bundle at page 282. It's called iAfrica Transcription P2I Ltd.
Page
Page 282.
280?
282.
Okay. Yes, Singh?
Yes, thank you. Just to follow the process, after these interviews were conducted and then there were transcriptions, were these kept under lock and key, or what do you call it? Yes, were these safeguarded by the department, or do you know whose responsibility it was to make sure that the transcripts, the recordings are not interfered with and the transcripts are kept safe?
The Chief of Defense Force keep these transcripts and records under the legal department of the defense, the military side of it.
Yes. And under your watch, whilst you were conducting these interviews, would you have kept these under lock and key to make sure that there was no tampering with the evidence?
Yes,
Is that what you did?
yes.
Yes, thank you. Now, let's talk then about you having interviewed then the Chief of the Air Force. After interviewing the Chief of the Air Force, what is it that you found which would have indicated to you that maybe there were certain processes that were not followed?
What transpired in terms of the incident is that the advisor to the Minister of Defense, seemingly somewhere in February, early March, did speak to the Chief of the Air Force, inquiring about this possible landing of this aircraft.
Yes.
And the Chief of the Air Force, having listened to that, that's what he says to us, or to the board. He, in fact, indicated that if that's what is required, they are advising that the minister should not approve the landing of this.
Yes.
So that was the first thing. The second thing then, we then asked the Chief of the Air Force, because after all that has been said and done, the aircraft did land.
Yes.
Now the question is, the approval of the landing and the policy which governs that. So it became quite clear that in terms of the policy framework, there was a gap.
Yes.
What then the Air Force was utilizing is a standard operating procedure, which then gives you boxes to tick, whether this has been done, this has been done, this has been done.
Yes.
And also the challenge with that standard operating procedure is that the people at a lower level are the ones who determine. But the interesting part about that is that if there's anything untoward, it is expected that they report to the senior controller. The senior controller must report to the commander of the Air Force Base Command post, who then report to the Chief of the Air Force. So basically those were some of the challenges which then were quite clear.
Yes.
And also in terms of number of government departments, because that base, Waterkloof, is also understood and recognized as an entry point to South Africa. And therefore, if there are going to be visitors, other government departments, as it would be the case at the OR Tambo
Yes.
International, those government departments must be present. But then what was missing at the time is a policy which governs that interdepartmental relations and workings to manage that.
Yes.
It was as policy missing. So these were the kind of things which at least became glaring as we're interviewing the Chief of the Air Force.
Yes. And you had spoken when we were dealing with the levels, starting from the Chief of the Air Force, you were dealing with level 4, and you said the standard operating procedures, they applied to level 4. And in your investigations then, did you find that there were things that were not done properly within that level, that is level 4?
The challenge with this request, you start seeing a defense attaché from India communicating with the Defense Foreign Relation, which is correct, but they are sharing what is going to happen and also requesting that they should be allowed to land. Now, the foreign relations people share that information with some of their colleagues who are foreign relations but sitting at the Air Force.
Yes.
And that, again, in terms of warning, one can say is correct. But the approval should go through DECO, and DECO, it should go to the Secretariat of the Defense, and then they should meet with the Chief of Defense Force. But that policy which is guiding that, it's not written, it's not documented. It becomes a practice. Then when that first one from February, because it's starting 28 February, it goes up to the 5th of March. And nothing happens, it stops. And then the Indians from their side, the defense attaché, decides to send it direct to level 4. And this is where then the level 4 people start processing it. And then it becomes quite clear that the level 4 people, they were looking at what was being said in terms of the request from, again, the defense attaché of India. And then from there, they realized that there is nothing coming from DECO.
DECO. Yes.
And then they tried to link up with DECO. And what transpired later on, it becomes an email. And that email is coming from a PA, in my understanding, of Mr. Kolwan.
Yes.
And then it goes to one of the officials, I think it's Mr. Machile, who was there. And then from Mr. Machile, it goes to the Air Force, again, level 4.
Yes.
And then You then find at level 4, the base itself has got a base commander, and then there's a movement control officer who becomes underseen.
Yes.
Now, underseen manages that without the knowledge, to a certain extent, of his commander.
And who was the commander?
The commander was Brigadier General Matumani.
General?
Matumani.
Yes.
Yeah. So then Matumani seemingly does not get involved. And then Anderson runs it. And then comes from the Air Force command post, a sergeant major at the time, Mchinchi. And then who's supposed to be, because that's talking about a clearance. The clearance means in terms of the length of the airstrip, the width of the airstrip, and the safety of the passengers, then all the issues speak to safety and the passengers is the landing strip and the aircraft, at least fitting what is possible at that Air Force base. And then that's the clearance part of it. And the clearance part of it also is, who are these people? What levels are they? And are they, in fact, expected to land here? So those are the boxes which they're supposed to tick.
Yes.
What then becomes quite clear in this one, right through in the discussion, is just a delegation from India, and of course, from one of the states of India, I think this is 27, one of the 27 states. And it's just that it's a minister from one of the states, and they say ministers from the central level. No names, no leader of the delegation. And this is part of the discussion among themselves, right through.
And you found those to be irregular?
First of all, the Air Force base Waterkloof, there are those who are supposed to land there, the heads of state and their deputies. And it must be a minister of a state coming from somewhere else. It must be cleared at least for the Defense Force at DECO, for whatever special reason, but there must be a clearance from that level. And any delegation which comes through, there must be a leader of that delegation, because protocol demands that when that aircraft lands, then the protocol from the Defense Force, there must be an officer, which is, we call that officer a meet and greeter. He must meet the person who's senior and greet the person. And of course, if he's really an official person deserving a red carpet, it must be rolled. And then all the rest. So this is why it's important that there must be a leader of the delegation and the level of that person, so that the meet and greet can be able to know who is this person.
Yes.
So that one again was missing.
And so as you were going along interviewing all these persons, then you would focus on the key people that would have played key roles in the incident itself.
Yes.
And you didn't just interview generally, but you had specific persons who were relevant for the purposes of executing your mandate.
That's correct.
And you have attached to the report are various statements that were obtained from the various individuals, but you may highlight persons that have been mentioned so far in evidence, that you also obtained a statement from Lieutenant Colonel Anderson, and that appears at pages 35 to 44. And you obtained from Lieutenant General Msimang that you've already mentioned. And you've obtained one from Brigadier General Lombard. What was the position of General Lombard?
General, he was a commander, GUC, that's General Officer Commanding the Air Force Command Post.
What would have been his involvement in the incident?
Now, under him, there would be, first of all, he's in charge of that base, so as a commander,
Yes.
you're supposed to know what's happening.
Yes.
And you would get that from your subordinates. They'll be briefing you.
Yes.
And in the mornings, there's supposed to be sittings, and then where you get briefed about what has happened the previous day and what's about to happen, which deserve your attention as a commander.
Yes.
So you were supposed to have been informed about all this, what's
Yes.
happening.
All right.
So then you had to explain what happened.
Yes.
And under him, of course, there will be the senior, in relation to this one, there'll be a senior controller who is the actual person then who must sign and approve the clearance. And it happened to be Lieutenant Colonel Fanzay.
Yes. And did you get you do have a statement also at pages 45 to 50, sorry. And then I see you also obtained one from Brigadier General Madumane that you mentioned.
Yes.
So all of these statements were obtained from them. But then, having done that, then you would have reached, because you don't have to go through all of these, because you did the investigations and you made the findings. And maybe, can we just go, then may I refer you to page 206 of the documents, or maybe because, just to identify it formally, because this is attached to your report, maybe we could start at page 199, because you made reference to it just now. This is an email that has been referred to in the evidence of the two previous witnesses.
Yes.
Or maybe we should just start it at page 194. I beg your pardon, General. I would like us to start at page 193 because I would like you to explain to the chairperson the difference between the RSA 05 and RSA 04.
Yes.
Could you just start at page 193?
Yes, the RSA 05 speaks to aircraft coming and flying into the Air Force Base, Waterkloof, coming from outside South Africa.
Yes.
Then that becomes the form to be filled to do the clearance.
And who completes this form?
Well, the form is supposed to be completed by somebody under Fanzay.
Yes.
Now, in this particular case, the person who's supposed to have filled that form, looking at that, if one looking at this particular one,
Yes.
it becomes a NGC, who was a warrant officer class 1 at the time. That's reflected under inquiry.
Yes.
So he's the one who filled the form.
Yes.
But then, at the end of the day, the person who takes responsibility of whatever NGC has done there becomes a Fanzay, who signs it at the bottom.
You signed at the bottom there. Yes, thank you. And then RSA 04, that clearance, what is it about?
That one, it's an aircraft which is within the borders of South Africa, but again, is going to land at the Air Force Base. So it becomes that one.
Yes.
But this particular one was a request which was speaking to about 7 helicopters and 2 fixed-wing aircraft, which were going to be playing a role in moving this delegation from Waterkloof to somewhere in area of Sun City, Pilansberg.
Yes, and these two would be signed by Colonel Fanzay.
Same story.
Yes.
The inquiries in Chinchi and again signed by Fanzay. Because it kind of spoke to one mission, if one you can call that. Because
Yes.
it was a mission, therefore that mission had to be done by the same individual.
Yes, thank you. And then when you said to the chairperson that your investigations revealed that there was an email that was sent by a PA to Makila, and then Makila sent it, were you referring to the email that appears at page 199 and the one appearing at 198?
Yes, I see.
Yes, thank you. And then at page 200, you then summarize the events, and then you make your findings as the board at page, they start from page 206.
Yes, see?
Yes, could you just summarize for the chairperson those very important findings that you made after you had had all this evidence, you had read all the statements that were submitted, and then what were your findings?
Well, according to what was expected to happen there, is that the Board of Inquiry in fact, came to realize that the Air Force and the Defense Intelligence, they knew about the request and the proposal, and this became quite clear around about the 28th of February. And of course, Foreign Relations did receive the copies, that there will be people, and of course, also a person who seemingly have confirmed what has happened for this is that there was a communication between DECO, of course, claiming that it was coming from Mr. Kolwane, and then also Indian Navy captain, Ketty, sitting in the High Commission of India. Then all what they were saying, there were going to be either 2 or 3 ministers coming in. This was a kind of mention being made. And of course, Anderson also seemingly have confirmed and probably told Njisi that according to Mr. Kolwane, this is known, and Anderson also mentioned a question of number 1, of course, would relate to number 1 in the South African context with the president.
Is that what you mentioned in paragraph 28D?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And also then it becomes quite clear that the Air Force structures were not necessarily communicating within the Air Force, because you would have Anderson not necessarily giving full information to his commander, who's Matumane,
Yes.
and also you had Matumane not necessarily playing his role in all what was happening. Why one is saying this in terms of the findings, now Anderson begins to change the furniture without telling anybody at the Air Force, base which you don't do that.
Yes. When you say changing the furniture, where was this furniture?
At the lounge, because there was going to be a reception, so he decided to change there, which was suiting that, and decorate it the way it was expected by those who were going to decorate. And also she then allows that there must be cultural groupings, and then photographs, people with cameras came in, and then number of cars came in. Again, nobody seems to be aware except Anderson in this particular case. So these are the things which becomes visible.
Yes.
And if you look at the role of what I would call for this board, I'll call it military intelligence officers. Now, this is why defense intelligence. You would have commanders, you would have people working, but they are military information officers. Now, their responsibility is to make sure that when they pick something which is out of the ordinary, they must be able to bring it to the attention of the commander. And those structures are available at the Air Force. And they are available at the Air Force base Waterkloof. Now the question is, when all this was happening, furniture was being changed, and people were making this arrangement, where were they? To whom did they report?
Yes.
And this again becomes glaring in terms of the weaknesses of the system.
Yes.
And of course, they are trained and prepared and working in different service and division, but that's a responsibility to empower and train them, of the Chief of Defense Intelligence.
Can I just take you back to maybe take you to paragraph F, 28F,
Yes.
where you deal with the role of the intelligence not knowing this aircraft. What ought to have happened as soon as maybe, supposing that there was an indication or a request that there is this aircraft coming from another country into the country, what would have been the role of intelligence there insofar as that aircraft is concerned?
The first thing, you've got 7 helicopters landing very early in the morning. And then you got 2 fixed-wing landing later on. And you then get to know that those in command at a higher level than those who are within the base do not know what's happening.
Yes.
And of course, an hour or 2 later, you've got the Airbus landing. Again, the question is, if those aircraft which landed about 2 hours earlier were known and then they were interrogated and it was understood what was happening, somebody was supposed to report to the seniors. And then that 2 hours later, that Airbus, since it was not approved by the minister, and the Chief of the Air Force was aware, and the Chief of Intelligence was aware, and the Chief of Defense Force was aware, then there's no way, if those intelligence officers or information officers did pick up that information and report it correctly.
So
So
that,
the aircraft would not have landed 2 hours later.
yes. Because they would have prevented it from landing.
They would have picked the first ones up,
Yes.
and then they would have known that something is wrong. And then you can't just have 7 helicopters landing in a base and nobody reports it.
Yes. All right, thank you. And then can we move on? We can highlight just those that you believe are quite important.
Sorry?
Yes, thank you. You may proceed, General. Thank you.
Okay. Then, of course, what then becomes clear in terms of the finding, the link between the Chief of the Air Force and the Chief of Defense Intelligence, and within their own structures also going down, there seems to be, in terms of communication, a little bit of weakness in the links and sharing information there. That's what we at least, and the clearing and authorization again of the of that aircraft at the base is the policy framework which guides that, not the SOP, not the standard operating, but a policy.
Yes.
Then also at least it was quite clear that there's a requirement for that. Even the approving cell at the Air Force Command Post, the approving cell, they were able to do what they did. Now, you will find that this one cell was almost 1 month in the post.
Yes.
Because he was standing in for somebody who attended a course. Now, of course, if you take that checklist where you're going to tick the boxes, now you ask yourself a question, did Van Zyl interrogate that even if he's an officer, he's a lieutenant colonel? So did he interrogate that? Now, he was relying on Njisi, but Njisi himself, then you would find that Njisi, in fact, had his own challenges. And he was asking all the right questions
Yes.
from Anderson, from the defense attaché, from Machila, from Mr. Kolwan. He was asking all the right questions.
Yeah.
And he knew what was wrong. But the question is, did he share that information for Van Zyl to make an informed decision? If you look at that, there's something which is not gelling. So something is wrong there.
Yes.
So this is why I'm saying, for me, if you look at J, that approving cell was able to hide and led to a decision which the request was approved. And again, that request, if you look at it, there is nowhere where Mr. Kolwan has signed anything except that somebody says from his office, a verbal approval has been done, even in the email.
Yes.
But do we work on verbal approval? Do we work on emails? And the answer is no.
And those are the standard practices within the Defense Force.
An officer sitting at the level of a lieutenant colonel should have known that. A sergeant major with the experience of Nchichi should have picked that up, and then they should have said, no, this is not on. And then they should have requested for a better formal, at least information coming from DECO.
Yes.
They didn't.
It appears from Mr. Major Nchisi's evidence that when he got the call from Ambassador Kolwane, and then the email from Mr. Machila, he looked at it and he thought this was all appropriate. But I just want to understand, is he allowed as a major to take instructions from an ambassador who falls within DECO?
The Ambassador Kolwane is sitting at a higher level in another government department.
Yes.
The formal way of communication between the two government departments, it should be a written one, and again, it should go to the right level. And then any person at a level 4, level 3 should be receiving direction, orders, instructions from his or her own commanders.
Yes.
So there was no way that they should have implemented whatever that was coming from Mr. Kola without clearing
With the commander.
with their commanders.
Thank you.
You have said that it's not clear whether Major Njisi told Mr. Van Zyl everything that he should have told him. He said here yesterday, that is Mr. Njisi, Major Njisi, that he told Mr. Van Zyl everything from the beginning of this request or his involvement up to the point where he went to him for him to make a decision. Is that consistent with what he told you during the inquiry, the board inquiry?
The Sergeant Major, when we asked all these questions, it became quite clear that the Sergeant Major was aware of what was happening. But the information shared with Van Zyl is not, in fact, reflecting what he was aware about all the time. That is, on his side, he did not necessarily share everything. But again, Van Zyl has got a responsibility that he's a senior person and is accounting and responsible for what he does. Looking at the, that SOP and looking at the boxes to be ticked, he also had at least a duty to ask the relevant questions.
Now, as I understand the position, to the extent that Mr. Van Zyl's information was that the aircraft that was going to be bringing these visitors was going to be a commercial aircraft for purposes of allowing it to land at Waterkloof. He could only allow it, as I understand the position, if it was bringing a head of state, deputy head of state, or some national ministers. Is that understanding correct?
Chair, your understanding is correct.
And is it also correct that such an aircraft, in order for him to allow it, there would have had to be a note verbal that he would have received?
A note verbal would be coming from the DECO,
Yes.
and then indicating the delegation and the nature of the delegation and the nature of the visit.
Yes. So is it correct to say one of the things he would have looked for to find out if it was there would have been the note verbal?
He should have asked for the note verbal
Yes.
and to confirm the nature of the visit
Yes.
and delegation.
And if he did not get a note verbal and got something else, is it correct that in terms of the procedures, then he should not have provided clearance?
That's correct, Chair.
Obviously, here he did not find any note verbal, so would it be consistent with your understanding when you presided in the inquiry that he provided clearance knowing that there was no note verbal and therefore that this was not right?
The challenge with him, with the benefit of doubt in terms of being in that post, although senior as it might be, being 1 month, and the experience, and also the ease of handing over and taking over, whether that thorough takeover was done, which then might have led to a gap. But
Yes.
in things being equal, he's supposed not have approved that
Yes.
request.
Yes. He was standing in on that day for somebody else, but his position within the Air Force, would it not have been a position that would have meant that he would have known what the requirements are?
Chair, coming from a different environment within the Air Force, he might not necessarily have the nitty-gritties and details of what's
Yes.
required.
Okay, okay.
This is why, Chair, one would say, if then the Air Force and himself, they did hand over and take over, that the one who was going on leave brought on board a little bit, the one who was going to take over brought on board a little bit earlier so that they can sit together and take one through that process, so that when one finally is in charge in the absence of the person who's been doing it, he's able to see any gaps. But
Okay, thank you.
again, that led to this situation.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Then, may you then proceed again? Is there any other one that you wish to highlight? I think you've dealt with J as well. But then what follows, you then found that certain people should be held accountable for whatever non-compliance with the procedures were, and you deal with those in paragraph 30 of the report. That would be at page 209.
200?
209,
209.
yes.
Uh, 30A, Fansale did approve and authorize the landing without proper checking and complying with the Air Force instruction. Now that Air Force instruction mainly speaks to the issues of what needs to be done. So he didn't, and also the SOP, which speaks to the overflying and landing right. So
You found that he must be held responsible?
yes.
Okay. Yes, and then NGC?
And GC, yes, for facilitating and influencing the approval of the request while knowing that it does not comply with the Air Force instruction and the SOP.
Yes.
Anderson for advising GC wrongly, because when GC goes there and then he starts saying, one, he mentioned again Ambassador Kolwana, and then she mentions number one. Now, obviously, that kind of information, Anderson being an officer and GC being a sergeant major, there is a challenge there, because now GC is a sergeant major who is a warrant officer, which is not a commissioned officer. Anderson is an officer, a commissioned officer. He should understand what he says to GC. And GC is supposed to take, at least with confidence, what the a commissioned officer is saying.
Yes.
So, yes. Well, Mr. Kolwane, if you look at what then is coming from the document from his office,
Yes.
was saying here, there was a misinformation coming from his environment to say this is a VIP coming in, there are ministers which are going to be landing here. And we take these, and we didn't interview him, but we take this because, one, he was going to be appearing in the one which was being done at governmental level.
You mean an inquiry?
In terms of inquiry.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we said, one, based on what Njisi is saying, and based on what Anderson is saying, and based on the document flowing from a PA in his office, this information was misleading. Therefore, something needs to be done
Yes.
in relation to Mr. Koran. And then the captain from India also, with all the writings, there was misinformation and deceiving the Department of Defense there for them to accept what was happening. And again, his entry point to the defense force was wrong. So that captain from India knew what was happening. And he knew that these were not ministers. And he knew that, in fact, it was not an official visit. Therefore, he was misleading.
Yes. And then you also deal with security matters, whether there were any security breaches as a result of that incident?
When you, again, GC, then in terms of using the communication with the people he was communicating to, which he was not aware that in terms of the telephone that there were recording happening, then it finally transpired during that period when he was doing all this phone. He also phoned another lady, where then discussing this kind of event, and also in terms of asking this lady to assist Mr. Colon, to assist Njisi to get some kind of employment somewhere else. So then again, Njisi then becomes a little bit, one, security-wise, discussing issues of the department with the civilian outside. And two, then you get to understand that he's got other interests in terms of possible employment outside the Defense Force. And then there was a foreign relation officer by the name of Kumalo. In the writings of the Defense Foreign Relation, she get copied by the officer from the Embassy of India, the captain. And also, when Foreign Relations received the same letter which speaks about this, then sent it to Colonel Kumalo. But when Kumalo appears before the board, she claimed ignorance about the two documents which she's supposed to have received.
Yeah.
So obviously, again, the reliability there of the colonel becomes a challenge.
Yes.
Then we are also saying there is an absence of properly guided and informed counterintelligence, those as military officers I was talking about, that from a security point of view, there was a lack in terms of that. So security was compromised because people are trained, people were there, they saw all this, but they didn't report. So security was a breach there. And again, if you look at the question of the communication with the other government departments, at what level? So obviously, that is D. The communication with other of the personnel of the department with the members of the diplomatic corps, where they were talking direct and liaising. You would look at a sergeant major speaking to somebody in the name of Ketty as a captain in the Indian High Commission. He's got no business to do that, but he was doing. So obviously, security again get compromised. So these are the issues which speaks to security.
Yes.
The civilians came into during the landing. They came in, they took pictures. Remember, this base is at least understood to be a strategic military facility. And therefore, nobody's supposed to take pictures. And if you do, you must be authorized. But here, people came in, they took pictures. And of course, civilian vehicles came in, they were able to enter and drive around. Again, there was a challenge there.
Yes. And then in the following, you then analyze the policies, the standard operating procedures, and how they applied, or they ought to have been applied. You've already summarized that you found that people failed to do what they were supposed to do.
They failed to do what they're supposed to do, but again, those two documents are not necessarily speaking to the authorization of the aircraft to land. One is speaking to the issue of the aircraft landing there. Is it going to need fuel? And if it's going to be needing fuel, then the base must prepare fuel. And then also they are supposed to be charged for the fuel which is coming from defense. So the first one speaks to that. The second one is looking at a technical issue of, is this aircraft in fact able to land in this airstrip? And then the size of the aircraft, and of course the safety, so that you can prepare in terms of the firefighting and the emergency side. Mainly that's that. So those are the technical things, clearance to land,
Yes.
but not authorizing to land. So there's a document which is missing. So the Air Force was expected to have developed a document which speaks to the actual authorization, not clearance. So the two documents, yes, they are there, but there's a policy missing part of it.
Yes.
They just went direct to an SOP. 34 speaks to what I've already mentioned,
Yes.
that we came to a realization as a board that between DECO and the DOD, there should be a policy which governs this, so that
This relationship, so that.
this relationship, so that at least it's documented, it doesn't rely on personalities, it is informed by policy, and at least even if it's a working procedure. So that's what we are saying there.
Yeah. And then you analyze all the policy matters that should be adhered to. But then I would like to take you then to, you also highlight what corrective measures ought to be taken. But I would like to take you to the recommendations, or maybe before that, at page 219.
Yes.
You deal there with any other related matters that may be brought to the board's attention during the investigation. And you highlight those from paragraphs 58 to 61. Could you just summarize those for the chairperson, please?
58 reads as such. Mr. Colon's name was mentioned by many witnesses in influencing the decision to authorize and approve the landing of the aircraft that landed on the 30th April 2013. The board is aware that Mr. Colon was interviewed during the Director General's investigation regarding this matter. It would be proper that the convening authority, which happened to be the Chief of Defence Force here, request a copy of the investigation or his testimony at a later stage, if he so wishes.
Yeah.
So we are saying something needs to be done, but we didn't call him because he was already there. That is one.
Yes. That investigation is the one that the witness we heard yesterday, Ms. Sindane, spoke to. The inquiry about
Yeah,
the Directors General.
Yeah,
Yes.
she was part of that.
Yes.
Yes. Must I go through?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Then we are saying there is no clarity and interference or duplication of responsibility with regard to the post of officer in charge movement control, which undermine the cohesion and esprit de corps. Now, here, this is speak to us as an organization. Anderson and Mdluli, they were occupying one and the same post. And the person who was in the post was Mdluli, not Anderson. But Anderson, in fact, ran the show. So we're saying here to the Chief of the Air Force, this thing is wrong.
Yes.
There must be one person so that you can have one person accountable. And again, the level of training of the person. So that was one other problem which was at least indicated in terms of 59.
Yes.
The board found that training and understanding of counterintelligence function and its role in the DoD was lacking in the SAF, in the South African Air Force. There is no relationship between the Air Force counterintelligence officers and practices and practitioners at the GI. Now, what one is saying here, those are the people I call for the sake of this board so that I make it a little bit easier. Military information officers, I call them. Now, their job, first, their training. If you are trained, you shoot and you must see something wrong. And when you see something wrong, most of the time you should see it before it happens. And you should try and sensitize the commanders to prevent it from happening. But the actual functional authority for this function is the Chief of Defense Intelligence. But these people are found in the Army, in the Air Force, in the Navy, in the other division, but coming from there. So here, there is a lack of interaction and lack of training, and the practices indicate that because of the incident which happened. So this is what we are picking up in terms of it.
Yes. And that would also be linked to 61.
Yeah, few individual officers who fully understand the practice were able to betray the trust and responsibility bestowed to them and manipulate the structural processes unnoticed. There is no clear delineation between the roles played by the Air Force Base Waterkloof and the Air Force Command Post.
Yes.
Now one, you would have here Anderson, who is very well versed with the processes, and she understands what should have happened. She's sitting at the Air Force Base Waterkloof. And Tracy is sitting at the Air Force Command Post. Now you can see how the two of them, were able to facilitate things. So the question would be, who must speak to who before they can do what they need to do at a lower level in terms of the two structures? That's
Yes.
what then is being alluded there.
Then then from paragraph 62, then you listed the recommendations of the board.
Yes.
And they relate to the miscommunication between the departments, that is DERCO and the Defense Force, and improvement of those communication channels. But I would like you to this one issue that I think we need to deal with. There was, apparently there is a CCTV system that is supposed to be operational at all times at the Waterkloof base, but it appears that during that period it was not working. What did you establish around that?
Well, when we finally when we went there to check what happened, we wanted to see the footages. Then we couldn't see things. And all what we could see, the relevant areas where we were interested in, they were not covered. And then it then transpired that they were under at least service being serviced. And then you say, no, if you are servicing, you need to be able to have a backup system.
Yes.
So then there was a lack of a backup system. And the areas which are critical were not covered during that period.
So even if there wasn't any form of documentation, any aircraft could have landed and no one would have picked it up because the system perhaps was not functional at that stage?
Not necessarily. This one is not necessarily speaking to an aircraft. It's speaking to the once you're on the ground and the movement of the people.
Yes.
Because now you want to check when the aircraft land, and then there was a meter and a greeter. But the meter and the greeter, then there was a red carpet rolled. Now you want to check where was this aircraft, and then where was the red carpet, and you look at where it's supposed to be, and then you ask the meter and the greeter. And then the meter and the greeter goes, and then they see people coming, then there's no control. The meter and greeter means nobody, greets nobody.
Yes.
But the carpet is rolled, but for who? But you want to see that in terms of the footage, what actually was happening. Then there were photographers, but who were they? Carrying cameras. Then, of course, there were cars moving around, but you want to see them. So if then that footage is not there, then it's a story, not necessarily evidence,
Yes.
depending on who tells the story.
Yes.
So those are the kind of challenges.
Thank you. And then all of those, you confirm all those recommendations that you have from paragraph 62 right up to 62S. They are all the recommendations that the board made relating to individuals as to what each individual ought to have done or should be done about a particular individual. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes, thank you. And you stand by those recommendations?
Yes, I do.
And I see your signature is the one appearing at page 223, General?
That's correct.
And the date was the 21st of June, 2013.
That's correct.
So you completed it just almost a month after the incident?
Yes.
Yes. And this record, as you can see on top, it's marked secret. It has been kept like that by the Defense Force until it was required by the Commission.
We, as a board, as a president, I handed over to the office of the chief through the legal officers, and then it became their responsibility to keep it. And my understanding is it was kept in the hands of the chief in terms of his office.
Yes.
And under lock and key.
Yes, thank you. Is there anything else that you wish to share with the chairperson?
Probably, let me say nothing. Thank you.
You said that, is it Colonel Anderson was occupying the same position with somebody else, is that correct?
That's correct, Chair.
Who was the other person?
Lieutenant Colonel Mhluli.
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 Yes.
How is that possible for two people to occupy the same position?
It was wrong. It was not supposed to happen,
But it happened?
but it happened.
Oh, but the one who was correctly in the position was Mhluli.
In
Is that-
terms of, Chair, in terms of paperwork, the one who was supposed to be in the position was Mhluli.
Yes.
But in terms of functioning, the one who was functioning doing the job was Anderson.
What does that mean at a practical level? Does this mean Mhluli was supposed to just enjoy the position and the benefits and Anderson would do the actual job or what? Or both would perform, they would just divide the tasks between themselves and they would both perform the tasks attached to the position?
It's one of those unfortunate incidents, Chair, which was not supposed to have happened in the first place.
Yes.
And it created its own challenges in terms of the morale within the base and, of course, the function of the base.
It was subsequently sorted out, I take it.
As part of the recommendation, the
Yes.
finding, it was found to be wrong, and Chief of the Air Force was also at least expected to correct that.
Okay, no, thank you very much.
Yes,
You
thank
are
you very
done.
much. Yes, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant General Mkwebi, for coming to give evidence. Thank you very much. You are excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The next witness is General Msimang. I see it's 10-1. Would Chair like us to start with that witness now?
How long is his statement?
It's not long.
Like how many pages?
It's about, and his area, it's just going to talk to, sorry, I didn't count. Only 4 pages, Chair.
Yeah. Okay, now let's
Call him.
take him after lunch.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Let's adjourn for the lunch break now. It's 10-1. We'll resume at 2.
Thank you, Chair.
We adjourn.
Thank you.